Tired of dealing with annoying flies, fruit flies, and gnats in your home? The Zevo Flying Insect Trap is your ultimate solution. Don't wait. Check out the link in the video description now to get your Zevo Flying Insect Trap on Amazon and enjoy a bug-free home today.
An eye-opening documentary takes viewers inside one of America's poorest regions, where drug addiction, suicide, and incest are just some of the complaints among locals. YouTube creator Drew Binksy set out on a road trip through West Virginia and, in a film documenting his 24-hour trip, he explains that it is a place where the collapse of the coal industry left behind ghost towns and broken dreams. He also notes that crystal meth and fentanyl addictions run wild in the state. While many people are living so isolated, they have their own dialect. The content creator starts his journey in Bluefield, and as he wanders through the once prosperous manufacturing city, he says it feels like he has stepped into a forgotten world. He continues, "Empty streets and closed shops stretch as far as the eye can see. It's like life just stopped." Drew eventually finds one local man to speak to, but he is met with a depressing tale of excessive drug use in the area due to a lack of things to do and lots of mental health issues. Continuing on his way, Drew passes through several eerie ghost towns and scenic areas in the lush countryside before he reaches the city of Welch. As the narrator of his documentary, he gives viewers some background on the community. He explains, "Once the most prosperous coal town in America in the 1920s, but sadly only 1,600 people remain. Most of the residents live below the poverty line and life expectancy is well below the national average. Many families rely on government assistance just to get by, and there's limited access to health care." Topping things off, Drew reveals that schools in the area are underfunded and many young people get out as soon as they can, searching for better opportunities elsewhere. To begin with, the filmmaker deems Welch as boring and unwelcoming as other towns in the area. However, when he crosses paths with locals Dave and Tessa, his opinion on the place gradually shifts. The couple, who only recently started dating after meeting on a bus, agree to take Drew on a tour of the area. In one scene, Tessa stops by an apartment complex where she used to live, and she explains that she's glad not to be living there anymore, as she witnessed a number of deaths. She tells Drew, "I lived there 4.5 years and there has been multiple suicides since I've been living in that building. People jumping out of windows, overdosing." While Tessa was born and raised in West Virginia, Dave reveals that he moved to Welch around 8 years ago as property was some of the cheapest he could find. He says during that time, he has also had a number of issues, including his water supply being down for 6 months. Luckily, there are fresh springs in area where people can collect drinking water. Like Tessa, Dave reveals that he has also witnessed premature deaths and lost friends in the neighborhood due to drug overdoses and fentanyl poisoning. In another scene, the trio meet a local named Ruben. The black pensioner reveals that he has lived there for 34 years and his mother was from the area. Drew is welcomed into his simple home where there is no running water or electricity. Ruben explains that he fetches water from a spring to wash, while he uses a torch for light and a propane heater for warmth. After bidding the longtime resident goodbye, Drew, Dave and Tessa continue on their way. At one junction they meet a man in his 30s who is covered in coal dust. The man explains that he recently started working in one of the local mines. Quizzed further on his line of work, the man reveals that he works underground 10 to 11 hours a day or 60 hours a week, and he makes up to $3,900 every fortnight. While it is dirty work, he notes that it is one of the best paying jobs around, and the companies he has worked for have treated him well. The man reveals that he is back in work again after going to prison for theft and attending rehab for an addiction to fentanyl. He shows Drew a photo of himself during the height of his addiction, with chronic wounds on his arms around the injection sites. On thanking the miner for sharing his story, Drew and his new friends stop for a pulled pork sandwich at a roadside restaurant before making their way to a small community called Holo. The trio find more locals to speak to during a trip to the town's grocery store. During conversa,